Houston, Texas took all these people. And I knew it then. I said, man, they're going to lock them up like crazy. Now, when I was in Houston, the brother Tony broke it down to me on the history of and the status of Texas in the last 15 years. He said about 15 years ago, around the early 90s or the late 80s, Texas economy was shot. They were broke. And he said, and Bush was a part of this too, because Bush was governor. So one of the solutions was that they would put a penitentiary in every county in Texas. So, after they put the penitentiary, they hit the big cities, Dallas, Austin,
Fort Worth,
Houston,
Corpus Christi,
El Paso, San Antonio. They hit the big cities, and they got all these urban black men and locked them up, and it became in these penitentiaries in every county, and it sustained the economy.
The new slavery.
Because it was new slavery, and everything that you think of in America is made in prison.
Well, you think about it also, too, you know, they said there's a job shortage, but not in prisons.
But not in prisons.
There's plenty of work.
Plenty, right.
But it's in the prison.
Right. So they said, no, we got to work out here for the Mexicans, which is cheap labor, and we got to force you to do cheap labor or slave labor, black people, by putting you in prison.
Using crime as a pretext to do it.
Yeah, now, so what happened was, the brother Tony was explaining this to me, was that they can only keep a person that doesn't do, or that does a crime, if it's not a murderous crime, that's not a murderous crime. They can only keep them in prison for about 10 years when you max. Because, you know, even though they might give a person 20 years or stuff like that, you can't keep them for 10 years because you got to realize there's so many people that's being locked up until just for space. So the criteria here is, and plus they don't want to look like, they already got more people locked up than any place around the world.
Right.
So they figure we just lock up everybody and then we'll give, and the maximum amount of time will be 10 years. Even on a real alarming rate of some crime, 10 years is about the most you can keep a person in America.
Except for murder.
Except murder and stuff like that, capital murder, whatever.
Right.
So they're saying, these brothers done been in there. This has been happening since the early 90s. They done been in. We in 2006, so a lot of these brothers are meeting the 10 years. Ones that they kept in there, they got to parole these brothers based on the 10-year radiance. So as a result, when a part of the Katrina thing was, let's get the so-called refugees and bring them to Houston. Now it's interesting here. When I was in Houston, the brother Tony was saying, well, it's already occurred. He said that about the violent crimes, or just crimes, period, just any felony that would be, Houston is a big city, and the most of the felonies is being created based on the regular Houston citizens. They say, but the news and all the reports are blaming it on the Katrina people. So even if there was something that was committed by the people in Houston, they blamed it on the Katrina people, and they had a few Katrina people that did do some crimes. They had some robots. They had some group of Katrina people went out some rich area and killed a bunch of white folks. And so what it is, they got these, so everything now is, the crime now is going up based on the Katrina people, and they're using the stats of the regular crime, because this is a huge city. They're saying they're attributing every crime in the city to the Katrina people. Thus, means that when they deal with the problem, they're going to start locking these brothers up, and these brothers are going to replenish the prisons. And that's why they told them, come on over here.
Right. In other words, they need to spruce up their economy.
Right.
By locking them down.
By locking, so, and they said, so we'll take the worst
you got,
and any scrub that came from what you call, we gonna have more, even if they were just regular decent people, because most black people ain't thugs and stuff. These are regular black folks. But if your skin is black
and you poor,
that's criminal.
That's criminal in America.
In America. And they're saying if you ain't a criminal, your ass gonna be one in Texas.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? And so as a result, this is what they're doing based on the economy. You see. Now, another thing they're not telling people is this about this whole Mexican thing. They recently came out and said, okay, now we're going to tell you what's going down with the Mexican thing. They said, number one, two things. One, they said that the Mexicans can't get Social Security because they ain't citizens. They got privileges and a permit to work, which was given to them by Bush. But they say they're not citizens, but they can't get Social Security. But they said, but they take out Social Security. And all that money is going to a couple of billion a year to replenish Social Security. So we talking about a whole slave system. Social Security is saving itself off these Mexicans. That's the first thing. Number two, they know that they talk that shit, and they going to see in a few days when they have that national boycott where they just going to not go to work. That if they got rid of the Mexicans, that this country would fall overnight because they have either locked up so many black people or they have killed so many black people. And let's face it, I don't blame black people. I don't want to pick no beans. I would rather, me myself, I would much rather go and stand around a liquor store and get me a drink every day. And sit on my ass than to go and pick some beans in the field. Because psychologically, we can't do them jobs now. And even and this is what they said, come off the bullshit, they're doing jobs that both black and white America won't do. So I ain't arguing about this thing here about what's going on. Not only will we not do it, I think psychologically we can't do it.
We've been through that.
And you know what's interesting here? Because they had a guy that came on, a black guy that came on Nightline in 1988. I don't remember, it was a black psychologist on 1988. And it was talking about the plight of black America and the poor. He said, look, he said psychologically, he said we worked for 300 years and didn't get paid nothing. And that shit is in our DNA. And we remember that. That's why sometimes we turn to life of crime and stuff like that type of stuff, you know, because we have been short-circuited, or we have been blown with the aspect of this hard work because we worked for so long. You see what I'm saying? And say, he said psychologically, they can't do it. They can't. And plus you live in the hair, you can't work at McDonald's. You in high school, yeah, but I'm just trying to say. Some things and I understand something that people saying that's not an excuse, but it's the reality of it. Because we didn't come here this way. And we're not a bad people, but you got to understand something. The trauma that has gone on for years. Post-traumatic slave syndrome. So as a result, these are things that occur. You know what I'm saying? Shit. I believe I sell some dope before I pick some damn beans. I'm sorry. You see what I'm saying? I understand what's going on, and I'm not justifying the niggas out here killing and selling the dope or whatever, but the point I'm trying to make here is there's a reason for some psychological things that's going on, and we got to understand this post-traumatic slavery syndrome is real.
It's very real. And
you see what I'm saying? You see, and the damn if you're going to get me, and I go and work on a damn roof in that hot-ass sun, for some $5 an hour. I ain't doing it.
And they gonna take a damn near $2.50 in tax.
Right. You see what I'm saying? So the only person suitable for doing that is the Mexican.
Yeah, El Segundo.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? You see?
Little Peppy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
So the only person suitable doing that type of stuff, and they ain't complaining and fine. You see? So I'm just saying there's some things with that, but on the other hand, let's look at the spiritual aspect of this thing. This is showing you the ending of America. Because not only are black people, and Farrakhan said it one time, if we suffer from post-traumatic slavery syndrome, or what we call black mental illness, and black inferiority, based on what happened, then that means white folks got to suffer from white